Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the show, where we interview the nation's leading real estate entrepreneurs. It's your host, Stephen Schmidt. And if you're joining us for the second, third, or 100th time, you're in for a real treat today. I made the critical mistake, which for you regular listeners, you know that I accidentally forgot to ask how to pronounce my guest's last name, which I continuously forget to do. Is it Boultbee?
Boultbee, yes.
Boultbee. I was like so close there. Well, I got Patricia Boultbee in the house. Patricia's been in the real estate game as a licensed agent for over 7 years. She's been investing for way longer than that. She's also got an equine business, is into some horses. And we're going to go all over the place and talk about real estate as we usually do on the show. So just before we get into that, remember, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their businesses, which allows them to build the businesses they've always wanted, to live the lives they've always dreamed of. With that being said, Patricia, welcome to the show today. I'm glad to have you here.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So just for our listeners' sake, I know we had a little bit of time to chat pre-show and get to know each other a little bit. But can you give us a little background on what got you started in the business and what got you to where you're at today and what's looking for the future?
Well, actually, it started when I had a finance company with partners, and we started buying investment properties in LLCs or personally. It got to the point where we would have like 11 at a time residential, and we owned them in all different parts of the country. And I, growing up fairly poor, got the epiphany that real estate is truly a girl's best friend. And I've started to believe that every woman or man should have real estate in their portfolio just running in the background while the rest of their life was going on. And it's something that's worked out for me over the years. And I strongly encourage anybody, wherever they are in their life, whether they're just starting out or they're looking at retirement, to look at real estate.
Now, when you say that, one of the things I get a lot from folks is, let's say they've got 6 to 10 properties and they're actually looking at divesting in order to focus on the main thing that they're doing now. Like, for instance, you have the background in finance, right? Maybe they're a lender that has a lending company they're now the sole owner of. And so they're looking at, well, I don't want to have any of my real estate anymore because it's too much of a time suck. Why do you think for the long-term play that it makes sense for most people?
Well, to address the first problem you brought up, it might be that they're just improperly positioned in how they're investing in real estate. There's real estate that can be very time consuming and can take up a lot of your time if you're always running over to repair things, etc. And there's other real estate that can be really much easier to manage and take less of your time. So my first question would be, what is taking so much time? If it no longer fits your lifestyle, then why don't you transition it into something that actually does?
That's a
That would
great
be,
point.
yeah.
Now, so when you were working in finance and decided, hey, we're going to start buying these properties in LLC, like what instigated that?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
One of my business partners was actually like 15, 20 years older than me, and he and his wife had always owned real estate. And as the finance business was throwing off cash, we needed to put it somewhere. And it was, partly a great idea tax-wise, and it was nice and passive income. Some of it wasn't so passive. Rental properties can be a challenge. And it just made sense at the time. We bought our own piece of land and built our own office building, a 30,000 square foot office building, and rented out some of it. We bought extra land and leased it out to a company nearby. It just it just fit what we knew.
And
And it
so what was the goal with all of that? Because do you still own some of those properties? Have you primarily sold most of them? Like what was the end game for you guys with that?
The end game was to again have real estate running in the background, almost a retirement strategy or I guess an exit strategy. When I sold my shares in the business, we sold off the properties that we all owned in common, and I did 1031 exchanges and put them into portfolio of my own. And that's what it did. It ran in the background for me. As I was raising my daughter, I would have the cash flow. If I had something big coming up, like I wanted to go back and get my master's, I sold one of them for my tuition. It's kind of that, I guess, a savings account that still pays you if you structure it properly.
Sure. So what's your specialty or niche within the real estate world now?
Um, I feel my calling is to educate women and investors as to how to do it properly. Not, I mean,
Mm.
with all the properties we had, of course, we made some mistakes, right? And there's some things that happen that you have no control over. Like I can tell you, we had a kindergarten teacher with perfect credit that's trashed the condo we rented her and ended up in jail on drug charges in Vegas over Christmas. I don't know how that stuff happens, but you have to. We made some mistakes and we definitely had some wins, and so I feel my calling is to get people into the right investments, even if it's their kid's first condo. Kids going to college near a university, buy a condo near the university. You're going to be there 4 years. You might as well be building equity and renting out rooms, right? Then you have control over your kid's environment, things like that. I love working with investors and I like working with land developers because they have their eye on the prize. And the great thing about real estate is you can also be a little emotional about it, right? You can fall in love with a property because you can fix it up and you can put creativity into it. But basically, I would say investors is my favorite place to work.
Mm.
But I see
You know,
everybody as an
you
investor. I see the first time home buyer as an investor.
mm. And you mentioned investing properly, right? First of all, welcome to school, kids, right? What a crazy story.
Right.
But when you say educating people on how to invest in it properly, what does that mean? What's the proper way to invest in real estate, would you say?
Well,
Or is
never
that
ever.
different for different people?
Right. Well, one of my biggest lessons was never buy a negative cash flow property. There's
Mm.
just no point. A lot of people do, thinking that, well, the market's just going to keep going up and I'll build equity even though it's costing me a little every month. That's one of the classic mistakes that just puts people behind the eight ball if anything goes wrong. And you know how real estate is. Yes, historically over time, it will go up. That's kind of how it's happened, and we can count on that. But if you're thinking it's going to go up a certain amount over 5 years, but there's a big dip in year three, and you somehow need the money, You don't want to be in a negative cash flow situation.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
It should be structured so that it fits your lifestyle, your comfort level with how much you're investing, that you have enough money in it, or that you get enough cash flow out of it that you can survive dips in the market, you can survive a vacancy. If you can buy a multi-unit, then if you have a vacancy but you've got a 4 unit, you only have 25% of the problem you would have if you owned one and you were 100% vacant. A lot, it just really depends on what people have to invest, what their bandwidth is for what they're, I guess it's a what they're willing to do, what they can do, and what they feel they want to do.
Sure. So, how do you decide which opportunities are worth pursuing?
Um, First I look at potential cash flow. That's always the first thing I look at. If it's going to be negative cash flow, it's immediately a non-starter. Then I take a look at the comps in the area and how much they've changed over the last 6 to 12 months. In certain areas, especially like there's a small resort town near me, where the prices remain fairly steady. Good market, bad market, they remain fairly steady, which means that if you're buying something there, you're not necessarily buying it for equity, you're buying it for cash flow. You just need to know that. Then the next thing I check into is what my buyers' assets are, their abilities, and their expectations. What do they think they want to get out of it? Some people, it's just not the right time because they're not quite ready. If they
Mm,
don't have any extra cash, or they don't have, if they're working 80 hours a week and they can't have time to look or make the right selection or get educated, you know, then they need to free up some time.
sure.
Those that's kind of that's part of the process I go through. But as we all know, it's like a Venn diagram, right? If it's like this is a yes, you go this way. If it's a no, you go that way. There's a bunch of decisions that are made as we move along.
Sure. What's changed in your approach over the years?
Um, well, I mean, it's real estate. Tons have. The low rates created a whole bunch of opportunity, right? When the rates went back up, that that changed our landscape a lot. It became, when the rates went up, it became a cash buyer's environment.
Mm,
Just plain and simple. If you weren't able to do mostly cash, you couldn't create good cash flow opportunities in Southern California with those rates. When rates were low, it was a much different story because less of your money was going to interest. That's a big change. Rates are starting to level out. Prices are holding steady. So it's still not the easiest investor market if someone wants to get into it. But as always, lenders tend to, once they see those obstacles, lenders tend to create new products to help people get over those humps because the lenders actually want you to borrow.
right.
That's their job. If their money sits, it doesn't make them any money.
Right.
So it's interesting to see what new products are coming out. The adjustable rate mortgages, and interest only loans are making a bit of a comeback. I'm seeing reverse mortgages being used for purchases, even for the purchase of the primary residence right out of the gate, versus using it to pull it out just to stay in the same residence that they're in. There's been a lot of change. Yeah. It's getting more optimistic, I feel.
What are you seeing in the market right now that others might be missing?
Well, I always look for opportunity. I think in every situation there's opportunity. Um, what I'm seeing is the there's some pressure on condominiums and townhomes right now because HOAs are having to raise their monthly fees because their fire insurance and other costs have gone up. which has affected the affordability.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
But on the other hand, we have builders that are trying to take advantage of density bonuses and building more multi-units. So I think that competition will hopefully drive those HOA fees down. Um, that's, but what other people might not be seeing is we should have a lot of inventory coming on the market in the next few years. I don't know that we'll ever catch up with our shortage, especially in Southern California, because everybody wants to live here. Um, but I'm seeing opportunity for first-time home buyers because there's now grants and other incentives like silent seconds that they can get, which is great if somebody wants to buy their first property and they can live in it for 5 years is the usual. They want you to stay in it before you get the full grant. Um,
Sure.
yeah, I'm seeing things like that.
So let's kind of transition a little bit to talk about your passion and your purpose of educating people. I mean, specifically, you mentioned investors and then women that are wanting to build wealth, create security through the real estate avenues. What are some of those things that you tend to focus on when you have those conversations with people? Or how does somebody generally come to you to even find, your knowledge base? How does that usually work?
Well, I do a lot of networking, and
Hmm.
so I try to get the message out there all the time. I've got a course that's in process, and but my what what people don't know, and once they hear it, they get very interested in talking to me. Is it's a Wall Street Journal statistic that in the United States, more women own real estate than men. And when women hear that, they go, "Oh." I'm like, right. It's not that hard. It's not exclusively something that a man does. And women own real estate, and I think there's a part of the reason for that is they're naturally good at seeing a space and seeing its value and seeing its potential, where I think they just I think just the female brain might work a little better at that. Men see things differently too, though. I mean, I'm not just saying that as that's an exclusive thing, but I mean, I think it's an untapped potential that women don't see that they have a natural ability for it. It's not hard to learn. You just got to be brave and try it. It just feels bigger than it is.
Sure.
As you know, it's like it seems like this really big thing that you're doing, but it's actually not.
Right. Can you dive in a little bit about what your course is actually going to teach? Who's that? Who's like the perfect person for that?
The perfect person is actually I'm trying to gear it for someone who is just more mentally ready. It
Mm,
starts with, how do you, first of all, you get yourself prepared. You got to know where you are, financially, credit, etc., because all those things are really important. And if you got to fix something, you got to take a few months, then take it and do it, but at least you know. And then it goes into what the different types of income properties are, the pros and cons, how they work, the typical demands that they're going to have for you. Some are going to take a lot more work and some are going to take a lot less. It depends. If you want to have an Airbnb, you're going to be cleaning it, maintaining it, fixing it probably a little more often, but you'll get more return on your dollar. And for some, that's the only way to go because some people don't want to be landlords. And then as I explore that, then we move into, okay, now here's some examples of how it's done. And once I get people to the point where they identify what type of investment they think will work best for them, then it's studying it, learning how it works. And as you and I talked about, when it comes to real estate or any business that you have, you should never start the concept without the idea of what your exit strategy will be. So
sure.
we craft that vision with the reality of where they are in time, and then move them into going out and finding the property that works right for them. That's the purpose of
Yeah.
the course.
So what made you decide to build it?
Because I saw so many people didn't understand it. I didn't
Mm.
understand it. I made my mistakes. Overall, I had wins, but I had those mistakes. I made the mistake of buying a property with a adjustable rate mortgage, interest only, with a negative cash flow. Took me forever to get
Mm.
rid of that thing. It was,
Sure.
and I barely broke even. Luckily I only did it once, but man, it was, that was an education. So I would like to, I also too, growing up not wealthy, I wanted people to see that real estate can be the big wealth equalizer. You
Mm.
don't have to have gone, you don't have to have a master's in anything. You don't have to come from wealth. All you have to do is just apply some basic principles and be aware of what's going on. And you can be a school teacher, you can be a janitor, you can be a doctor. It doesn't really matter. Everyone has a place and everybody has a point of entry into real estate.
I agree with that a ton. Now, you also are somewhat of a serial entrepreneur, so you've got a lot going on. How do you manage to stay organized between everything?
ADHD. I'm just kidding. I do best when I write things down, but I also need electronic reminders. So I've
Mm.
got a day runner or a written planner that works for how I like to brain dump, and then I put things that I need to be reminded of in my electronic calendar.
Mm.
I run a CRM that is fairly simple but easy to use because I didn't want to take a ton of time to, learn a complex CRM. And then I pull in other tools as I want to add how I connect with people. And I've tried out different platforms. Anything that takes, too long to learn, it's not my cup of tea. And a CRM
Totally get that.
allows me to extract data, to put it somewhere, to get something in front of a core group of people that I've got identified by certain criteria is what I want to do. So I
Right.
don't use a personal assistant at this point. Probably should, but
Totally get that. I think we all should, right?
it's hard. It's hard to hand it off, though. I'm so, I've. It's hard to relay the vision. My friends tell me I should. Maybe one day I will.
You bet. So if you could go back to the beginning of when you first got started, what would you do different and what would you do the same?
Let's see. What would I do different? Um, that's a good question because I had really good partners and I learned a lot. Of course, learning to not buy anything with a negative cash flow. Um, I had partners that were really good at knowing when to sell, and when to roll that real estate over, sell it, and buy something else.
Mm.
Um, what would I do different? I would have held on to some of them longer than I did.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I guess I would have not sold some too soon.
Why is that?
I felt I wanted to move the money into a different business.
Mm.
But in hindsight, I could have done that through financing without giving up the property.
Mm.
Could have just taken a loan out on it instead of selling it outright.
Sure.
At the time, I was really busy with my daughter and another business, and I just wanted a quick solution. But in hindsight, I should have done that one different.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
what's on the docket for you in the next 12 to 18 months? What are you really looking forward to? What's kind of the plan? What's your takeover goal on top of your course and some of the other stuff you've already have going that, is more maintenance than anything? What does that look like for you moving forward?
I do want to get my course finished because I think it's going to be relevant. So finding the right platform. I mean, it's written, it's just not in a platform that maybe that's where I need my personal assistant. I do my sphere of influence and my CRM and my marketing is starting to pick up. So I want to keep picking out what's working and leverage into that and let go of what isn't. If my goal is to have 300,000 gross commission income this year out of the real estate, not the other businesses. So I'm, I'm, like I say, it's just starting to all click. So again, you always keep an eye on what's working and what isn't, and constantly focusing on what works. That's my goal for the rest of the year.
You bet. So if people want to reach out to you, find you on social media, or just connect with you for more, where should they go for that, Patricia?
I am on Facebook and Instagram. I even do some on TikTok. They can email me or phone me. The one thing that I pulled down my website because it needed to be updated, and then I never really put it back up again because I don't know it's really a great marketing tool for me, to be honest, for the way I connect with people. I'm also out networking in person. I should be pretty easy to find. I hope I'm easy to find.
You bet. Well, go follow her, folks. Give her some love from the Investor Fuel family. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks so much for being here, Patricia.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.